Hey, welcome back to the stash. Ultimate Spider-Man, a series that took the comic world by storm. Sure, it had its haters and people who just simply didn't enjoy the book as much as others, but for around the first year or so, this comic was widely loved by the fans of the character. It was hailed as the book that we've been needing for decades. The book that finally gave us our hero back. The book that finally understood Spider-Man. I should know, I was singing those exact same praises every month during 2024. But as 2025 rolled around and we got done with Kraven's Hunt arc, something felt off with Ultimate Spider-Man. Suddenly, filler issues became more prominent. The main character, Spider-Man, the guy the book is named after, suddenly took a backseat in favor of literally anyone not related to the Parker family. And to a lot of people, myself included, it really hurt the book. Others were still loving it, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, I'm happy for them. But for me, it just wasn't enjoyable anymore. Each release only lessened my excitement, and I felt pretty flat about how much I believed the series had fallen off. Naturally though, especially when it's about a Spider-Man comic, people online debated. And through it all, I saw heaps of great points from both sides of opinions. However, there was one frequent counter-argument that got stuck in my head. That was basically just telling the other person, Hickman is doing this on purpose, and it'll all come together beautifully. I saw stuff like, give it time, this is how Hickman writes, wait for the story to be finished, it'll read way better, etc, etc. And so today, as someone who loved the first 12 to 14 months of Ultimate Spider-Man but began to lose interest as the year went on due to many issues found within the title, I decided to view the story from a different angle. I went back, all the way back to issue 1, and read all the way through to the current release to see if Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man had truly fallen off. But hey, real quick, here at the stash, we're swinging for 20,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Now, this is a tall order, I know, but with great power comes great responsibility, and all you gotta do is click subscribe. So if you're into Spider-Man or just comic book deep dives, feel free to stick around. But anyway, with all that being said, let's get right back into the video. So when I wrote this, I literally had to stop my reread just to talk about issue 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man because I feel like this issue, the very first installment, plays a major role for the question of has Ultimate Spider-Man fallen off? Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1 is, without a doubt, my favorite issue of the series, but it pains me with how far Hickman strayed off as the run continued. Here the script was tight and focused, knew what it wanted to be and who it wanted to center the story around, and that's rightfully Peter Parker. So it just sucks as how time went on, Hickman kinda just abandoned all the foundation he laid with issue 1. Peter is dealing with so many mental battles and it's just so enthralling to read. This sense that he's missing something in life, this determination to become what he was always meant to be, and the way Mary Jane and Uncle Ben helped play a role in getting him to take his chance came together beautifully. Now though, I can't remember the last time this comic actually tried to focus on Peter Parker, the main character's genuine problems, and that for me really hurts the book. Because no matter the excuses I see for this series online, stuff that aren't even a good defense, it's literally just you've never read a Hickman comic, Hickman has made such a mistake in my opinion, wasting so much valuable time on Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of good moments within their large portion of screen time, especially in Harry's case. Harry Osborn I think was written super well within the span of his first appearance up until he faked his death. I love the way that he and Peter interacted, especially when they were at the start of their friendship, and having Harry say the classic "with great power comes great responsibility" line was such a brilliant, unique choice for the series to take. Where, on the other hand, Gwen is kinda an asshole in this, which in a way fits her character if you read some of the classic ASM issues, and while I think she's more interesting than some of her other counterparts, she still just didn't do much for me. But through it all, I think this book just needed to focus mostly on Spider-Man, given it's not only his title, but also because of the hindering monthly releases. He's the main character, and the main character needs to be focused on. Issues should be spent showing Peter and his family's conflicts, or their love, or even just their reaction to the situation. Even in issue 2, it continues perfectly. But they're right in the thick of it for issue 1. Issue 1 has Peter's actions directly involve Uncle Ben and his wife Mary Jane, and now we're lucky for a filler issue once every year to actually give the spotlight on the Parkers as opposed to the Osborns or even now Otto Octavius. Hickman got his priorities wrong. In my opinion, he got them really wrong. That issue 1 genuinely feels like a different comic. It feels like this can't be related to the last few releases we've gotten as of October 2025. I mean, this series is about to end. I've just gotten so many issues focusing on anyone but Peter, and it honestly sucks. Are they good stories? Sure, but as a part of an actual series that's meant to tell one big story, I think it severely damages the comic. Even something like how issue 2 of this series has May scared of Spider-Man. It's something that builds until Peter eventually changes his design of the look that we all know and love. But that character building, that family dynamic, became a lost art within the series. I would have loved for more moments like that. After all, a major selling point was Peter being a husband and a father. We have a whole issue dedicated to Mr. Negative's origin, but we can't show the more personal moments of the Parkers? It just doesn't make sense to me, and it sucks because I love the first year of this series. It was my comic of the year for 2024, but the second half has been so disappointing, and with my reread for this video, I feel like I've only had my feelings and thoughts validated even more than before. Even the world building here at the start feels more exciting with the promise it can provide. Like, I know how it will eventually unfold, but the initial reveal of each pillar of the world Peter lives in was so well done and felt like a semi-plausible and fun what if Peter never got bit scenario. It never strayed too far and kept things within a genuine, realistic bubble. But then by the time we reach issue 20, it's just so far off the rails, it doesn't even feel like the same premise this book advertised way back in 2023. I just think, overall, I preferred the way Hickman had originally built his world before things got so complicated with secret Mysterios and all that stuff. But yeah, issue 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man is genuinely fantastic. The story is near perfect, and rereading it for the first time was genuinely a blast. It's just a shame that that fun feeling didn't last. The first proper arc this story has, from the Spider Bite to Spider-Man, is, in my opinion, not only the very best arc of the series, but also the very best story arc Spider-Man comics have had for a very long time. It's quite literally all there. It's got heart, action, character drama. It's as close to perfect as we'll ever get. Issue 6 as a conclusion of the first story, but also as a setup for the next, was incredible. And at times, I think it's tied with issue 1 as my favorite issue of the series. The ending especially is beautiful thanks to how well Hickman handled Peter and MJ's dynamic. Their dialogue is electrifying. You can feel the sparks come right off the speech bubbles. I just wish we got more of this though. More of what was here in the first arc, because it had everything a good Spider-Man story needed. And that final scene of Peter finally becoming Spider-Man was simply perfect. Rereading the first arc was insanely fun. It reminded me of how much this series meant to me in 2024. I loved every second of it, and I'm happy to see that that portion of the series held up incredibly well. In fact, I'd even argue it gets somehow better with a second read. I just wish the same could be said for the later stages of this comic. Immediately after Kraven's Hunt, I felt something was different. The quality per se was changing and the focus was certainly shifting, but the thing is, they're not bad comics. Issue 15 was jarring with a time skip and a little random, yes, but it still progressed the story even if it was filler, and we got some decent moments within it. And issue 16 was technically filler again, but gave us crucial backstory for the characters of Gwen and Harry, while also setting up the promise of something big that was about to occur. That's all fine. That's good actually when you look at it as a broad story. But what isn't good is how Hickman spent the rest of this series leading up to the last release. Barely any of the plot actually moves forward. Instead we get loads and loads of exposition dialogue and, just a lot of stalling pretty much, but we get some actual fun and interesting moments sprinkled in between. Is issue 22 a good issue? Well, yes, in the sense it's written well, but no in the sense of an actual long story this book is trying to show us. Issue 21 has a great origin for Mr. Negative. Hickman clearly put a lot of effort in it and it shows, but it's simply wasting time. And it makes it even worse when they give you one panel of the main character of the book fighting endlessly against a horde of soldiers to keep his family safe. I want to see that. I want to see the main character protect his loved ones, not Mr. Negative's backstory. Even issues like 19 and 20, two issues that focus purely on Mary Jane for once and get her caught up to speed on the events, still feel like they're stalling and wasting time. This should have been shown before. This should have replaced a lot of the Harry and Gwen subplots or even Mr. Negative's page time later on. It's frustrating because I want to love this series. I really do. I still love the first 14 issues a lot, but when looking at it as one big story, I still believe all the issues people were finding the comic to have are still present here even after you read them consecutively. I never once got bored of the original Ultimate Spider-Man series. I can read the first 100 odd issues and never once feel like I'm losing interest or that the story isn't fun and engaging, but here, I'm sad to say it wasn't the case. I genuinely started to lose interest after a while because the book keeps propping you up for some sort of big climax and then immediately slows the pacing right down for 20 pages with 9 panels each of talking. Would this work better if this series was longer than 24 issues? I'd say so, yeah, but the problem is, that's not the case. We have 2 issues left, and I can't help but feel like a large portion of the second half of the story has been wasted. Even if we compare the first 22 issues of both the old and new Ultimate Spider-Man comic, to me, the difference is pretty clear. Bendis never once lost steam. He could balance action, character drama, literally anything, and it worked like a charm. He'd have comics with just talking, or comics with heavy talking, but just sprinkled in between the action, and he made it work. He made the dialogue dynamic and alive with how they spoke, or how we followed the speech bubbles. He blended the character drama with the action if need be, so it never felt like time was wasted. And in those first 2 years, classic Ultimate Spider-Man had fought and/or beaten the Green Goblin, the Enforcers, Electro, the Kingpin, Doc Ock, Kraven the Hunter, and he was in the midst of another battle with Norman Osborn going into the 3rd year of releases. Whereas for the new Ultimate Spider-Man, he's fought and lost to the Shocker, he beat Bullseye, lost to Kingpin, beat Kraven, got thrown around by the Sandman, and kinda fought Mr. Negative. The story tries to tell us he's this great hero that inspires hope, but we never actually really see all that much of it. Most of his victories are reduced to a page that just shows the aftermath of it, and I found that kinda lame. How can we get a real feel for this Spider-Man and what he stands for, if most of his greatest feats are either not shown or teased? And when rereading it in one go, that really stood out to me. Now, the marriage of Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson was such a heavily promoted thing in regards to when the book was originally coming out. It was in so much of the promotional material, and the amount of variant covers are insane. That's all fine, of course. Who doesn't love variant covers? I should know that I've bought a few just purely because it has Peter and MJ on it. But what bothered me was the way MJ kinda took a backseat here. It's like they used it to grab our attentions and then quietly tucked it away. Like a lot of things in this comic, I thought she was great within the first year, but immediately after Kraven's hunt, something felt really off, and I think that's thanks to the monthly pacing. Eventually though, we get some actual character work and Hickman makes her own person again. The problem is though, when Hickman tries with MJ, she's genuinely one of my favorite characters in the book. I only wish she was given more of a spotlight as opposed to someone like Gwen Stacy. I mean, we've seen Gwen's wedding, but not Peter and MJ's. But so has Ultimate Spider-Man fallen off? Honestly, in my opinion, it has in many ways. The first arc was so strong, the first year was so good, that it kinda made the subsequent releases feel worse automatically by comparison, and after rereading all the current 22 issues in a row, my enjoyment of this series lessened with each release just like I originally did before. Even the last issue, issue 22, has some great, absolute fantastic Peter and Mary Jane moments, but we're nearing the end. We're nearing the end and Peter has still done barely anything while his son is trying to infiltrate the Sinister Six. I hate that I don't enjoy this series as much as I once did because Hickman still delivers so many great moments within each issue, even amidst all of its faults. But unfortunately, I just don't think year 2 can compare to just how complete and fun year 1 was. From issue 1 all the way through to issue 12.